Gravel bikes are hot stuff right now. Everyone is making them and everybody is buying them, and there are more events, rides and races to take part in than ever before. So plenty of reasons to buy a new gravel bike this year. But there are some things I wish I knew before I bought a new gravel bike like the one behind me. So let me share some top tips to definitely know about before spending your own money on a brand new gravel bike. And if you're new around here and you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, hit that button down below. Right, let's dive in. The most important thing to consider when buying a new gravel bike is the kind of riding you aim to do with the bike, because the riding you do will influence the bike you go for. If you're racing, you want a nice, lightweight, aero-designed package. If you're doing bike packing, you want a big-tired, versatile bike full of mounts and accessory points for cargo and extra water. And if you're riding really chunky off-road terrain, you might want something with flat bars and suspension and really big knobbly tyres. Or if you're actually doing more road riding, you might want smaller tyre clearance, you might want 2x gearing and a position and fit that emulates your road bike. So you have to decide how much speed you want from your bike, how much comfort you want or need, and how much capability and versatility you'll need from said bike. The conditions and terrain, whether it's hilly, smooth, rocky, rough, gravel, dirt, mud, will influence the bike you go for, from the type of bike, whether it's an aero race bike or a bike packing setup, and how big the tyres need to be. Do you need big chunky tyres with big volume and tread, or do you need a smaller, narrower, faster rolling tyre with a slick centre section down the middle? Those decisions will be influenced by the riding you aim to do with that bike. And one massively important consideration is the ratio of road to off-road. That will influence the bike you go for and the tyres you choose. One tyre might be fast on the road but slippery off-road. One tyre might be great in the mud but slow on the road. So choose that tyre and that bike setup that will work across that full range of terrain and conditions you expect to encounter, which is based on where you live around the world and where you take your bike to ride as well. So be really honest about the riding you plan to do with the bike, whether you're racing, just riding for fun, commuting, bike packing, touring, and how adventurous you'll be with going off-road and how chunky a tyre you need, or whether you're actually buying it for road riding, as many people do. Fit and geometry matter more than specification and shiny parts on a new gravel bike, just the same as on a road bike. As with any bicycle, the fit is so important. If you're comfy, you'll ride further, faster, and enjoy riding that bike more than if you're uncomfortable. And there are different types of bike with different geometries you can choose from, depending on the riding you do as well. There are now aero gravel race bikes that are very aggressive, like a road bike, short wheelbase, slammed low stack, put you in an aero position, which is great if you're actually racing. You're pushing out 300 watts and you're riding over fairly smooth terrain. But if you're going bike packing, riding many days at a time over big mountains, then choose one of the new breed of gravel bikes with longer geometry, longer wheelbase, slacker angles, to give you that extra stability. A calmer handling bike is a bit slower in the steering. It'll be easy to ride over a long distance at high speed over many days of riding. And many gravel bikes are now inspired by mountain bikes with their geometry, like the Parley Taos and the BMC Urs and other bikes with a longer wheelbase, a much higher handlebar position to give you more comfort when riding long days in the saddle. So gravel bikes might look the same from the outside, but up close, the difference between a race gravel bike and a bike packing mountain bike gravel bike is very big indeed. And choose the one to suit the riding you're doing so you get the best outcome from your gravel experience. The tyre clearance is a make or break detail on a gravel bike these days, and generally the trend has been for bigger and bigger tyre clearance, and tyres have got wider and bigger, and more people are more confident to ride bigger tyres than ever before. Bigger tyres aren't slow, bigger tyres improve comfort and can be faster over rough terrain because suspension is provided by big tyres, that bigger air volume between you and the rough ground you're riding over. And my general rule of thumb these days is for a bike that takes at least a 50mm wide tyre. My personal preference is for a 45, but more often than not, a 50mm wide tyre. The 50 isn't much slower than a 45 or 40. The extra comfort you get and the extra speed you can carry down rough terrain makes up for those losses in weight and aero. So look for a bike that takes at least a 50mm wide tyre, maybe bigger. Modern bikes are coming out with 52, 53 and 55, and some outliers up to 57 and 58. So choose the bike with a tyre clearance that suits the riding and a tyre size you want to run. That said, if you're happy running a 40mm wide tyre because the terrain you're riding on is smooth enough, or you ride mostly on the road, then there are plenty of bikes that take a 42 or 45 and you'll be just fine. But know that you'll be limited in the future if you decide to go to a wider tyre. The gearing is an interesting choice for a gravel bike and comes down to personal preference, and gearing choice is getting better all the time, with wider range gearing often preferred for riding off-road. Riding off-road, in my experience, is tougher than riding on the road. The hills are steeper and the terrain is slippery and loose compared to tarmac, which is smooth and doesn't move around underneath your tyres. And if you're bike packing, you've got extra luggage on your bike, so heavier weight, and that means lower gears are needed. So for me, I look for big range gears to give me that ability to spin up the steepest, slipperiest climbs compared to road riding, where you want an emphasis on a high end and smooth cadence steps. And a big decision to make with gearing right now is the number of chain rings on the front of the bike. 1x or 2x, 1 chainring or 2 chainrings, and it's very much personal preference. But by and large, if you're riding at high speed on road or smooth dirt and you want that smooth cadence steps from a road bike, then go 2x with a smaller cassette to give you the range you need for riding off-road, but that smooth cadence progression. But if you want maximum gear range and simplicity of shifting and fewer parts go wrong and riding mostly off-road, then for me 1x is where it's at. 1x11, 1x12 or 1x13. So choose a gravel setup like a 1046 from SRAM or Explore, or if you want to go properly off-road and ride up some big mountains, then go for a mountain bike set. A 1052 on the back gives you all the range you could ever need. No excuse to not ride up the steepest climbs on a gravel bike. Today's video is sponsored by the Hover Air X1 Pro Max, a compact, lightweight, intelligent, high quality drone that fits in a jersey pocket and records amazing 8K video when you're riding your bike down your favorite road or trail. It's super simple to use as well. Simply fold it out, power it on, select the mode you want, dolly track or cycling mode is my favorite. Press the button on the palm of your hand. And then ride down the trail or road and it follows you. And when you finish, look at that. And that's why I love using a drone for all my videos here on YouTube and on social media. And you grab yourself one right now at the link down below in the description of today's video. The must-have accessory for filming, capturing highlights of your rides, races and events this season. The versatility of a gravel bike is a wonderful thing, but the amount of versatility a bike offers does vary depending on that bike's intended use case, and that's another factor to consider when choosing a bike. How versatile do you want it or need it to be? If you're racing and you want an aero bike, don't need much versatility. You're not adding bags and extra bottles to it, so it can be strip free of all those mounts and accessory points. But if you're bike packing, you're touring, you might want to fit cargo capacity, racks, bags, lights, dynamo lights. So the more versatility you need, the more you need options to add those accessories to that bike, and that will steer you down a path away from aero race to a bike packing setup where it has been designed for that style of riding. So consider how versatile you want a bike to be, how likely you are to run mud guards or fenders, lights, dynamos, racks, extra bottles, and make a list of the things you would run, and that will help steer you to the right bike, from aero to bike packing to something in between. The future proofing and upgradability is something to consider as well, because for 2 reasons. Firstly, if you're new to gravel, you might start by riding your local gravel trails or do some local gravel events, but as you progress as a gravel cyclist, and you will, I'm sure of it, as I have done, you might have bigger ambitions for a race like Unbound or Tracker, or you might go down a bike packing Atlas mountain route, and those needs from those different events and races will influence the bike you go for. So have half a mind on what you might do in the future, where you might go with your gravel career, and what might need to change on the bike to reflect that different riding. So for example, you might want to run bigger tyres in the future, so choose a bike with the biggest tyre clearance you can right now to give you that option to run bigger tyres right now, even if right now you're not running big tyres at all. Another example is how right now you could buy a bike with mechanical shifting on it, but in the future want to upgrade to electronic, and can that bike take an electronic group set? Other consideration might be the upgrade option for a dropper seat post, a suspension stem, a suspension fork. How many bags can you fit? How many bottles will it take? Does it have down tube storage? Is that a feature you might want? So have a real think about the things you might want in the future as well as right now too. And also, can parts be serviced on that bike? Are the wheels and hubs easier service? Is the headset easier service? A one-piece handlebar and stem looks jazzy and is aero, but does limit your fit options and does make swapping headset bearings very tricky as well. So is a bike that's easier service a big factor for you? And if it is, steer away from a one-piece handlebar and stem to one with a two-piece separate cockpit. So my takeaway here is try and buy a bike that grows with you, allows you to grow as a gravel cyclist, and doesn't lock you into one type of riding when you buy that bike in the first place. Those then are some things worth considering and taking note of when buying a new gravel bike in 2026. What tips have I missed? What do you want to consider when buying a new gravel bike? Let me know by dropping a comment down below. And if you want to see a video on some of the best upgrades to make to your brand new gravel bike, then watch the video right up here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then hit the button right here. But that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, don't forget to check out the Hover Air website, link down below, to get yourself a Hover Air drone right now.